Okay, so you're here because you want to really get a grip on what it takes to lead in this world of digital transformation,
Yeah.
right? And specifically, as we're looking ahead to 2025.
That's it. And you want to do it without wading through all the tech jargon and hype, you just want the clear insights.
Exactly.
Hmm.
So consider this your fast track to understanding what really matters when it comes to corporate digital transformation leadership in 2025.
And we're going to be diving deep into the work of someone who knows this landscape incredibly well, Carrie Ann Cassidy.
Right. And for our listeners who aren't familiar with Carrie Ann's work, she's a women's executive coach and leadership development consultant.
With almost 30 years of experience, I mean, she's been doing this for a while.
Yeah, she has. And she's really focused on helping ambitious women in corporate environments to, take their careers to the next level.
Yeah, a big part of that these days is obviously understanding and navigating digital transformation.
Absolutely. And as we go through this, what we really want you to be thinking about is this: how ready are you? How ready is your organization really for all the digital shifts that are coming in 2025 and beyond?
It's about taking an honest look at where your skills are right now, like really assessing your starting point.
And to help you do that, Carrie Ann Cassidy has created two resources that are incredibly helpful. The first is a checklist.
The Corporate Digital Transformation Leadership 2025 Checklist.
That's it. And the second is a quiz, the Leadership Readiness for Digital Transformation quiz.
Both of these are super practical, and they're available for download.
Yes, definitely check those out. And our mission today is to pull out the most important insights from these resources from Carrie Ann's work and make sense of all the key elements of leading through digital change and get you thinking about your own readiness.
Where do you need to focus your energy to really be prepared?
Exactly. So Carrie Ann's article starts with this really powerful idea about stepping into 2025 with confidence.
Right, being prepared. And she stresses the importance of proactive strategies.
And she brings up something right at the beginning that really highlights the urgency of this whole topic. She mentions the 2023 Allianz Risk Barometer.
Oh, yeah, that was a really interesting report. And they found that disruption rates in Australia and New Zealand are actually 30% higher than the global average.
That is not a small number.
That is
significant.
It's a huge difference, and it tells you that this is not something you can just, put off for later.
Yeah, you got to be thinking about this now.
Sure.
And to make this all a bit less theoretical, the article dives into a really insightful case study about the Commonwealth Bank of Australia.
CBA. Yeah, they're a great example of a traditional financial institution that really made a conscious decision to become a tech-first company.
And they did it so well. They totally transformed themselves. And what's interesting is that they put their customers right at the center of this whole transformation process.
Yeah, that's one of the key takeaways. I think they rolled out this lifestyle-focused mobile app, started using AI to provide personalized financial advice.
Even property insights.
Yeah, they even integrated shopping rewards into the mix.
Yeah. And importantly, they invested heavily in cybersecurity.
Yeah, building that digital trust is essential.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't innovate effectively if your customers don't feel safe and secure.
Absolutely. It's a fantastic example. And it makes you think, what can we as leaders learn from CBA's approach, their forward-thinking, customer-centric approach?
Right. How can we apply that in our own organizations?
Yeah, and the article poses some really direct and I think thought-provoking questions for us to consider about our own situations.
Yeah, these are questions that can really get the conversation started.
So Carrie Ann Cassidy asks, how prepared is your organization to handle these rapid technological changes that are happening?
The big question.
It is. And then she asks, what specific digital skills are you prioritizing for development within your teams?
Are you upskilling your people in the right areas?
Exactly. And then how resilient is your team?
Yeah.
How well can they bounce back when there are disruptions?
And then she asked a really fundamental question. How do your core values, how do your values shape the way you lead through all of this change?
Yeah, those are some big questions to grapple with. And the article then lays out 5 key tips for leading corporate digital transformation successfully in 2025.
A nice framework.
So tip number 1, embrace a culture of innovation. And I think it's important to say that when we talk about innovation, we're not just talking about brainstorming sessions.
Right. It's deeper than that.
It's about encouraging people to take risks.
Smart risks, calculated risks.
Yeah, calculated risks, and to try out new digital ideas, even if they don't always work out perfectly.
You have to be willing to experiment and sometimes fail.
Exactly. And what's really insightful here is the focus on how the article quotes Charlene Lai, who's a real expert in digital transformation.
Oh, yeah, Charlene Lai. She's great.
And she says that digital transformation is less about the specific technology you adopt and more about reshaping how you lead.
Right. It's about leading in a way that inspires your teams to be adaptable and collaborative and resilient, especially when things are uncertain.
Yeah, it's about a mindset shift. It's not just about, buying the latest gadget.
It's about creating a culture that embraces change.
Okay, so tip number 2, prioritize workforce upskilling. And this is not a one-time thing. This has to be ongoing.
It's a continuous process.
You've got to be constantly investing in training programs that build skills in key areas like digital literacy, AI, and automation.
Yeah, you got to stay ahead of the curve because the skills that are in demand today might be obsolete tomorrow.
Exactly. And the article gives a really good example of this with Google Australia.
Oh, yeah, they're doing some really interesting things.
They're offering specific certification programs to help people develop these in-demand digital skills.
It's a great example of how organizations can proactively address those emerging skills gaps.
And this ties back to one of Carrie Ann Cassidy's resources, that downloadable checklist of essential digital skills for 2025.
Yes, definitely use that checklist to figure out where your team needs to develop.
Tip number 3, implement agile strategic frameworks. And I know agile can sound a bit like a buzzword, but at its core, it's about being flexible and responsive in your planning.
Yeah, being able to adapt and adjust as needed.
And the article highlights a really useful framework for this, the 3 Horizons model.
Oh, I love the Three Horizons model. It's so helpful for thinking about strategy in a holistic way.
So for our listeners who aren't familiar with it, explain the 3 Horizons.
Okay, so Horizon 1 is all about making your current operations better, optimizing what you're already doing.
So incremental improvements.
Exactly. Then Horizon 2 is about exploring new digital opportunities that are kind of close to your existing business.
So things that you could potentially launch relatively quickly.
Yeah. And then Horizon 3, that's where you're looking at those really game-changing long-term innovations that could disrupt the market.
So it's about balancing those 3 horizons, the short term, the medium term, and the long term.
Exactly. And what I love is that Carrie Ann Cassidy actually provides a visual tool to help leaders understand this, an interactive flowchart.
Yeah, that's super helpful. Okay, tip number 4, leverage data-driven decision-making. And this means moving beyond gut feelings.
Right. Using data to inform your choices.
It's about using those advanced analytics and AI tools, not just to understand what's happening now, and to get better at predicting what might happen next.
Anticipating rather than reacting.
Exactly. And, when you use those digital dashboards to track your key performance indicators and market trends in real time, it helps you make faster and better informed decisions.
I love how Brian Solis puts it. He says that leaders need to build ecosystems where every team member feels empowered to innovate and adapt.
Yeah, and data is crucial for giving people that empowerment.
It gives them the insights they need to make good decisions.
Okay, tip number 5, align your leadership with ethical and purpose-driven values.
This is so important, especially in today's world.
It's non-negotiable. You have to make sure that any big digital changes you make are based on transparency, ethical practices.
Yeah, building trust and maintaining trust with everyone involved.
Exactly, and the article gives a good example of this with Adobe.
Yeah, Adobe has a really strong commitment to combining innovation with ethical guidelines.
Yeah, they're a good model to follow. And
Yeah.
Vela Afshar from Salesforce, he makes a great point. He says that truly transforming digitally isn't just about getting new gadgets.
It's not about the tech, it's about the mindset.
It's a shift in how leaders think.
Yeah, it's about integrating ethics and purpose into the very core of your leadership.
And the article makes this really important point, that corporate digital transformation,
Yeah.
it's not optional anymore.
It's not a nice to have.
By 2025, it's going to be the baseline requirement for staying competitive, for even surviving.
Yeah, this is about survival.
It is, and I think that McKinsey's statistic really brings this home. They found that 9 out of 10 senior leaders have been pursuing large-scale digital transformations in recent years.
It just shows you how widespread and vital this has become.
Yeah, everyone's doing it, and the big drivers here are that customers now expect those seamless digital experiences.
They're demanding it.
They are.
Yeah.
And organizations need to become more efficient through automation.
And AI is playing a key role in making all of that happen.
And this leads to some more really important questions for you to consider. How are you currently using AI in your organization?
Are you using it effectively? Are you even using it at all?
And then what are the bottlenecks? What's slowing down your digital transformation efforts?
Where are the sticking points?
And then how can a strong commitment to using technology ethically, how can that actually build more trust with your customers and your community?
It's about using technology for good.
Exactly. So the article then shifts to talk about how the workforce is changing and the talent challenges that are already here.
And the challenges that are coming.
It mentions the Jobs and Skills Australia report, which predicts some significant shortages of skilled workers in key areas by 2025.
Yeah, that's a worrying trend.
And we've all been hearing about the debates around returning to the office, right? Some leaders want everyone back full time, but there's been a lot of pushback from employees.
People want flexibility.
They do. And it seems like the trend is moving towards more hybrid work arrangements.
Yeah, and a greater focus on what people actually achieve rather than just how many hours they're sitting at their desks.
Outcome-based work.
That's the future.
It is. And so all of this means that leaders have to be strategic about skills.
You have to really think about how you're going to attract and retain talent.
You need to do a thorough analysis of where your skills gaps are. You need to develop flexible workforce plans that can accommodate remote work and hybrid work.
Yeah, and you have to foster a culture where innovation and new ideas are encouraged at every level.
So here are a few more questions to get you thinking. What specific training and upskilling programs do you currently have in place for your teams?
Are you investing in your people?
And how is your overall talent strategy adapting to these changing trends?
Are you keeping up with the times?
And how does leading ethically, how does that factor into your approach to managing talent in this new world of work?
It's about ensuring fairness and equal opportunities for everyone.
So the article then touches briefly on some strategic frameworks.
Some useful tools.
It reminds us about the 3 horizons model.
Great for balancing those short-term needs with long-term goals.
And it mentions SWOT analysis.
Looking at your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
Yeah. And Porter's 5 forces, which is about understanding the competitive dynamics in your industry.
All useful tools for making sure that your digital strategies are keeping you ahead of the curve.
And the related questions here are really thought-provoking. Are your priorities and resources balanced across those 3 horizons?
Are you giving enough attention to those long-term, game-changing innovations?
And how do your ethical principles, how do those guide your long-term planning?
It's about making sure that your values are baked into your strategy.
Exactly. So when it comes to actually putting all of this into practice, the article really stresses the importance of having a clear, phased approach.
You got to break it down into manageable steps.
You need to turn your plans into actions.
Having a great strategy on paper isn't enough. You have to execute it.
And as you think about implementation, here are some questions to consider. What are the potential challenges that could derail your plans?
What could go wrong?
And how are you making sure that departments are working together and aligned throughout this whole process?
You need that cross-functional collaboration.
And again, how does ethical decision-making inform how you implement these changes?
It's about doing things the right way.
Okay, now let's talk about that second resource from Carrie Ann Cassidy, the Leadership Readiness for a Digital Transformation Quiz.
Oh yeah, this is a great tool.
It's designed to help you evaluate where your organization stands right now across 10 key areas.
10 areas that are essential for successful digital transformation.
And those areas are digital vision and strategy, innovation, culture, workforce, upskilling.
Data-driven decision-making, agile strategic frameworks.
Ethical and purpose-driven leadership implementation and execution adaptability, and continuous improvement.
Technology adoption and stakeholder engagement.
So that's a pretty comprehensive list.
It covers a lot of ground.
And for each question in the quiz, you select the answer that best describes your current situation. And each answer is worth a certain number of points.
From 1 to 4.
So once you've answered all 10 questions, you add up your score, and that score will tell you which of the 3 readiness levels you're at.
So the first level is needs improvement.
And that's if you score between 10 and 19.
Which suggests that your organization is really in the early stages and needs to focus on establishing a clear vision and starting to upskill and engage your people.
The next level is moderately ready.
And that's if you score between 20 and 29.
Which means you've got some key elements in place, but there's room for improvement.
You need to refine your strategy and execution.
And then the highest level is highly ready.
That's a score of 30 to 40.
Which indicates that you have a strong foundation.
You can fine-tune your approach and leverage the latest technologies.
So the quiz is really a starting point for reflection, and this ties into the fact that Carrie Ann Cassidy offers customized training and coaching programs
to help leaders and their teams navigate this whole digital transformation journey.
And these programs are really comprehensive. They offer a range of options.
In-person workshops, lunch and learn sessions, personalized coaching programs.
So if you're listening to this and thinking this is relevant, I want to take the next step, you can book a complimentary consultation with Carrie Ann Cassidy.
Talk about your specific needs and how you can tailor your digital transformation strategy for success.
Her email address is email protected, or you can book a free call through the link provided in the resources.
These tools, the checklist, the quiz, the opportunity for personalized support, they're all there to help you move beyond just understanding the importance of digital transformation to actually taking action.
So to wrap up, the key message here is that leading digital transformation in 2025 requires a proactive, innovative, and ethically grounded approach.
It's about upskilling your workforce, making smart decisions based on data, and using those flexible planning frameworks so you can adapt quickly.
And that first step is really understanding where you are right now.
Self-assessment is crucial.
Yeah. Use that checklist, use that quiz, get a clear picture of your organization's current state.
And then you can start to prioritize those areas that need attention.
And so our final thought for you to consider is this. As you look ahead to 2025 and beyond, what is the single most critical leadership skill that you will commit to developing to ensure your organization not only survives, but thrives in this era of digital evolution?
What's the one skill that will make the biggest difference for you and your team?
It's a question worth pondering and maybe exploring some of the resources we've discussed today to guide you on that journey.
Yeah, it's an exciting time to be a leader. Lots of challenges, but also lots of opportunities.
Definitely lots of opportunities. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, everyone.